Hello everyone. Welcome to my weekly book chapter readings. This is my book, Losing Sight of the Shore, How to Live on a Boat Without Killing Your Family. I'm Rosa Román. I wrote this book about my family's adventures living on two different sailing catamarans, and I read a chapter each week of the book here on my social channels. I also share this in my Substack, and before I get into that, I wanted to mention, and I wanted to apologize because last week I did not have my weekly live stream. I actually did try to do it, but I was on the road driving from New Mexico to Florida, and the signal somewhere in rural Texas at the time that my live stream was supposed to be, which is noon on Tuesdays Mountain Time, was the middle of nowhere, Texas, and the signal was so bad it just could not get it on the air. So I apologize for skipping that week, but I'm back. I wanted to tell you why I was driving to Florida. So if you stick around till the end here, I'll give you a little preview of why I'm doing that, why I did that. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read this week's chapter. This is Losing Sight of the Shore, Chapter 13, Stranger Danger. When she's at a marina, there is only one way to get onto the Dawn Treader, unless you swim or pull a dinghy up to our boat, and that is to step from the dock onto the roof of someone's bedroom. Well, this can be annoying when you're trying to sleep and someone is getting on or off the boat. It can also be a good thing when it comes to security. Generally, if anyone steps 1 foot on deck, you will hear it. This is something we were grateful for one night when 2 men boarded our boat for an attempted robbery. It all happened right after Hurricane Matthew. The Dawn Treader was at Riviera Beach Marina near West Palm Beach, Florida, which had been our home for about 4 months as we prepared her for her first crossing to the Bahamas. The evacuation for Hurricane Matthew had been unbelievably stressful, leaving us less prepared to deal with this situation, which happened just a day later. Most of our live-aboard neighbors had not yet returned to their boats, which were gratefully undamaged in the storm, but Nathan wanted to get back to the boat as quickly as possible after the storm passed, so we were already back on board the very next day. The return to the boat was exhausting as we had to undo a lot of what we had done to secure the boat, including climbing the dock lines across to the boat and carrying the dinghy and other potential projectiles out of the living room or salon. We were emotionally and physically spent when we went to sleep for the night. Both Nathan and I jolted out of our deep sleep around 1 a.m, hearing footsteps above our heads. Our minds were a bit foggy, and we both hesitated for a moment. Did we really hear anything? Then we heard it again. Clearly, someone was on deck. My heart started racing. By this point, we already had our new German Shepherd puppy, Nala, but she was just a few months old. I thought maybe my daughter, Ahava, had let her out of her crate and was taking her to her grass patch potty on deck. I raced up the steps to the salon, the living room area of a boat, hoping that was what we had heard. When I saw that little puppy fast asleep in her crate, I started to really panic. I quietly called down to Nathan, "It's not the dog on deck." He whispered, "Turn on the deck light." When it comes to emergencies, my beloved and I have exactly opposite reactions. He is amazingly calm and level-headed. This is the reason he's able to work in the ICU, intensive care unit, at a hospital and help people with crazy bodily trauma. I, on the other hand, turn into something like a chicken with her head cut off. If someone is bleeding, there's a good chance I will faint. And as I learned that night, when someone is on our boat in the middle of the night, I don't understand simple instructions like turn on the deck light. After a lot of fumbling with the panel, I finally found the deck light switch and turned it on. This was promptly followed by yelling and then what sounded like a herd of elephants over our heads as the 2 men realized the boat wasn't empty and scrambled to get back to land. The sight of them switched my mind into mama bear mode, and I ran to the kids' room in a panic, thinking these guys might be after something more valuable than our electronics. When I got to where their rooms were on the port side of the boat, I started screaming, "Ahava, Ziva, Samuel!" Samuel and Ahava responded right away, but I didn't see Ziva anywhere. Oh, my heart stopped for a few moments. Finally, sleepy-headed Ziva stumbled out of the bathroom saying, "Mommy, why are you yelling?" Apparently the commotion woke her up too. I told the kids to stay put and rejoin Nathan in the salon. By this time, Nathan had retrieved the gun from the safe and was heading up to the deck. I am grateful he never needed to use it. As we stepped out of the cabin, we could see the two men already running down the dock, carrying something square as they got away. One of them was limping. One of them was limping, clearly having hurt himself as he jumped off the Dawn Treader. Serves him right, I thought. We were convinced that they had gotten away with our newly installed, ridiculously expensive navigation panel. But as we made our way to the upper helm deck, we were happy to see that nothing was missing. After trying to alert the marina security guard for an unreasonable amount of time, we called the Riviera Beach police. The whole time, our little puppy was barking her head off, and we finally let her out of her crate. When the police officers arrived, Nala went crazy. I told her to be quiet, and the police officer said, "No, you shouldn't correct her. That's her job. She should be barking when strangers approach your boat." I knew I liked that officer right away. They spent some time taking our report and getting a description of the two guys. They suspected the thieves were from the nearby neighborhood since they made their getaway on bicycles. We knew the odds of finding them were not high, but I felt better knowing they were working on the case. It wasn't until the next day that we discovered what they had stolen. Nothing was missing from our boat, but the neighboring sport fishing boat was missing her whole instrument panel. We contacted the owner to let him know about the theft, and we both grumbled at the lackluster response from security. Before this, I always felt pretty safe at that marina, but this was a wake-up call for me. Part of living on a boat is learning to be completely self-sufficient, and this applies to security too. With marina security unreliable at best, my husband traveling frequently, and our 3 kids aboard, I knew I needed to take matters into my own hands. One of the things I dislike the most about living on a boat is the same thing I dislike the most about being female anywhere, feeling vulnerable. And I know plenty of men feel this way too. Just as the Georgetown walk the dog incident brought out my feelings of vulnerability over not being able to move the boat by myself, the attempted robbery left me feeling physically vulnerable. What if the robbers were after more than electronics? What if I had been sleeping alone and they had come into the cabin? What if they had gone after my children? Although we believe in the Second Amendment, I really don't want my only option for protecting myself and my kids to be shooting someone. The reality is that a violent trespasser could get to me before I could get to the gun if they really wanted to. What I really wanted was an advanced warning system, which I do have now that Nala is older and well-trained, plus a way to get the people I love to safety if we were ever attacked. Enter Huang's martial arts and the Krav Maga badass, Christina Huang Lefkowitz. Krav Maga is a form of martial arts created for the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, which combines judo, boxing, karate, aikido, and wrestling to disarm an attacker. I've been curious about it ever since seeing the character, Ziva David, take down a guy twice her size in the show NCIS. Yes, the same Ziva character that our own Ziva's name came from. It wasn't until those 2 guys boarded our boat that I finally decided to look into taking a Krav Maga lesson. The closest gym offering classes was Huang's. I went there very nervous about the whole thing, but after meeting the owner, Christina, I left feeling empowered and excited. Because we were preparing to sail to the Bahamas and would only be at that marina for a short while, we decided private lessons would be best. Twice a week for the next few months, not only did the kids and I learn some basic Krav Maga, but our new nanny, Allie Miller, joined us for the training too. Most of the moves we learned were focused on breaking free if someone grabs you or protecting yourself if someone is wielding a weapon. But because we moved aboard after a disturbing, despicable pirating incident when 2 cruising couples were murdered by pirates on the catamaran SV Quest, we wanted to do everything in our power to protect ourselves. Granted, we had no plans to go to Somalia or any other areas known for piracy, and I have since learned how rare incidents like these are involving cruisers. But we also knew that when you are out there on the ocean, you are often truly on your own. We wondered if basic self-protection training would be enough. Gratefully, Christina and her husband understood our concerns and truly went above and beyond to help us prepare. The couple came to the Dawn Treader armed with some fake weapons and spent the day running mock scenarios to help us develop a family security plan. It was so helpful to walk around the boat discussing what ifs and having these experts share their ideas for what each crew member should do in the event of an attack. This is not to say we will go looking for trouble, but between our Krav Maga training and our trusty German Shepherd on duty, we all sleep better at night on land or at sea. And that is chapter 13, Stranger Danger, from Losing Sight of the Shore, How to Live on a Boat Without Killing Your Family. Yeah, that incident was intense, and I remember it so vividly, like it was yesterday. And those kinds of things, like, I know people are always like, oh, aren't you scared to live on a boat? And I think they mostly mean, are you scared to live on the water? Are you afraid of the weather? Are you afraid of sharks? The answer to those are yes for me. But I'm actually more afraid of people. And so that's kind of interesting. And I feel that way wherever I am. And I'm sure most of you females can relate, and maybe many of you men as well. But basically that feeling that you know, if I can have a little bit of extra protection and figure out how to keep myself and my family safe, I'm very much all about that. Okay, enough about that. I just wanted to tell you before I let you go that we are moving forward with this whole boat buying plan. It's in Spain, and the plan is to cruise in the Mediterranean, which is amazing and crazy, and I can't even wrap my head around it fully yet. But there was an opportunity for us to have a big mega yacht, a boat, a friend of a friend, take some of our stuff from Florida to the Mediterranean and take it to our boat, which is amazing. But I had to get there in like 2 days' time. So I literally drove across country, and it was an adventure. So I'm going to write about that. I write about that and update more of kind of it's kind of like a newsletter and a blog, in Substack. It's an app, a platform where writers can share their work and other things. You can share audio and video too, but mostly it's a writing platform. So if you're interested in following our journey moving forward, and also the written chapters of this book, please consider subscribing over there on Substack. That's rosalindaroman.substack.com. I call my publication, as they say, Untethered Adventurers, because we will be that again very soon. All right, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this book reading, and you can find a link to the book in the show notes and also to my Substack. All right, that's it for now. I'm Rosalinda Román.